Okay, guys, I want to talk to you guys about our dosage calculations. So, in class, we talked about the usage of this particular formula. Remember it. How you remember it's kind of up to you. D stands for either doctor's order, dosage required, however you want to look at that. H stands for the dose that we have on hand. So both D and H are doses. So usually measured in either grams or milligrams or micrograms. Sometimes you'll see units or milliequivalents. However dosages are usually measured, you guys are usually going to see grams and milligrams. So we just kind of stick with that. Q is the quantity and how that medication comes. So a lot of medications come in and say, we'll say like 5 milligrams per tablet. Then in that case, if that's what I'm looking at, 5 milligrams is my H, my 1 tablet, because it just says per tablet, we assume that to be 1, that's going to be my quantity. The dosage ordered is something that will be given to us, and in this example, it hadn't been given to us yet. So remember, we had one stipulation for D over H times Q, and that was to remember D and H must be the same unit. So just writing this up here again, D over H times Q. So let's say we have an example that says, okay, doctor orders 20 milligrams of a particular drug. Doesn't matter what that drug is, but orders 20 milligrams. That medication comes in 10 milligrams per tablet. So again, in looking at this, you guys can probably do this in your head and say, okay, well, if he needs 20 milligrams, but it comes in 10 milligrams per tablet, then that means I need to take 2 tablets. Pretty easy. But if I were to set that up in my D over H times Q formula, D is 20 milligrams, H is 10 milligrams, and my Q is 1 tablet. So in completing this problem, I'm going to take 20 divided by 10, which we know is 2, times 1 is still 2. So that's right, they would take 2 tablets. Reminder from our class is that I mentioned to you guys that D and H must be the same unit. The reason being is because I want this unit milligrams. I need that to cancel out. When they're the same, they cancel each other out, leaving the only unit left in this problem as tablets, which is what my answer will be. And that's what I want. Whatever my unit of my quantity is, I need that to be the same unit of my answer. So if D and H are not the same unit, I need to make them the same unit. Let me give you another example. Let's say we have a doctor that ordered 0.15 grams, sorry, that's a G, but grams of a particular medication, and that medication comes in, we'll say, 100 milligrams per tablet. So we're still looking at tablets right now, but per tablet. So setting up D over H times Q, D is 0.15 grams, I'll just abbreviate. H is 100 milligrams, and my quantity is still 1 tab. So again, I want to be able to say, okay, here's how many tablets you're going to take, because I want the unit of my quantity to match the unit of my answer. However, in order for that to happen, my D and H unit must cancel out. But again, what we're seeing here is grams and milligrams. So they can't cancel out because they're not the same. So I can't divide these two numbers just yet. What we need to do is make sure they're in the same unit. Doesn't matter what unit that might be, as long as they're the same. So I could get these to where they're both in grams or to where they're both in milligrams. As long as I convert one to the other, it does not matter. So in class I had mentioned that just out of habit I'm always used to getting everything into milligrams. So meaning that number on the bottom is okay. But I need to convert up here. This is in grams. If I want to change it to milligrams, I need to go back to remember how do I convert grams to milligrams. So thinking of the end of each of those words, grams and milligrams, because they both end in the word gram, that's how I know I need to use my metric chart. So going back to take a look at our metric chart, if I were to just write that up here at the top, remember our metric chart is kilo, hecto, deca, base, deci, centi, milli, x, and micro. So looking at that, I know I have grams right now. Grams is one of my bases, so I'm just going to go ahead and underline that right there. Grams is base, and I'm trying to convert it to milligrams, which milli is right here. So according to this chart, that's 1, 2, 3 places to the right. For those of you guys using the stair-step method, that would simply just be down 1 step, which means times 1,000. So I would take my 0.15 times 1,000. Either way we do it, if we're using this method at the top here, 0.15, moving it 3 places to the right would change this to, and I'm switching back to blue, to 150 milligrams. And again, those of you guys using the stair step, 0.15 times 1,000 is 150. So either way you do it, my 0.15 grams is the same thing as 150 milligrams. Again, we're not changing the doctor's order at all. I'm simply just saying, hey doc, that comes in milligrams, so we need to change your order to milligrams, which is what we did. And now you can see what we can do. Milligrams and milligrams will cancel each other out when I divide these two. So 150 divided by 100 gives me 1.5 times 1 is still 1.5. So my patient here would take 1.5 tablets. Okay, so I hope that helped. Again, making sure that D and H are the same unit. Remember, so far we've looked at everything, all these examples that we've seen so far come in tablets. Let's see what we need to do if they are, if our order dose is in something else, or that medication comes in something else. Let's say we have, I don't know, let's say we have doctor orders 0.2 grams of medication, but that medication comes in, let's say, I don't know, let's just say 100 milligrams per 2 milliliters. So in this case, what we're seeing is that, my unit here, my quantity here is a little bit different. My quantity is now 2. What that simply means is just in D over H times Q, we always have to remember to times Q. So in this case, we'll have to remember to times 1,000. So setting up D over H times Q again. So what this looks like, if I'm going to write this on here, D over H times Q is 0.2 grams. H is 100 milligrams, and my quantity is 2 milliliters. But once again, I have two different units in my, in the D and H positions. So I need to get it to where they are the same. So just as the same thing we did on the last one, making sure both are in milligrams. The top one we notice is not in milligrams, so I need to convert my grams to milligrams. So again, either way we do it, it's either down a step on the stair-step method or right 3 places on our metric chart method, which would change 0.2 grams to 200 milligrams. So in calculating this out, now that they're the same unit, since they're going to cancel each other out, I can divide. 200 divided by 100 gives me 2, but don't forget we multiply by 2, and my patient here would take 4 milliliters. So I hope that helps, guys. If you all have any questions, let me know.